and welcome back to My House Book Club. Today I will not be reviewing a specific book that I've read. Instead, I would like to do a recap on the books that I've read in 2024 so far and share some books that I'm excited to read in 2025. I am also joined by my co-host Freddie today. He will not say anything, but he's just a cute dog in the background. So, before I start, I just want to explain that I am not one of those YouTubers who reads 100 books a year. It's just not realistic for me in my current situation. But I am still hoping that this channel keeps me accountable to keep on reading. I hope it encourages you to read more, and yeah, I just hope that you will follow along as I fill in the gaps in my reading and get to know some of the classics. The first book that I read in 2024 was Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. So this is my third Jane Austen book that I've read. It was a bit more challenging than the ones I read before. But I would say that I really liked the character growth. In general, I like Jane Austen's sarcasm and her style in which the characters are talking the plot forward. So I'm really glad that I started my year with this book. The second book I read is The Hobbit, There and Back Again. So I really liked this book, especially towards the end. I was reading it like all day long, full of adventure, and I think the combination of hobbits, dwarves, and Gandalf is just mwah. And it was a very good warm-up to reading Lord of the Rings later in the year. The third book is... You probably can't tell what it is. It's a little broken too. But it is very much loved by me. It is All Things Bright and Beautiful by James Herriot. So I have... Whoa, the sound it makes. Maybe I shouldn't. Eesh, don't break on me. Anyway, so basically it's a semi-autobiographical book by a vet who worked in the countryside of northern England. I just imagine that James Herriot, he would be amazing at telling stories at dinner parties and just... These are those kinds of stories. I absolutely loved this. I've seen the old series, the TV series, All Creatures Great and Small, I think it is. I know there's also a new one. Haven't seen it, but I've heard great things about it. And I wish I had more of these. Unfortunately, I read in Finnish and they don't print these books in Finnish anymore, so they are quite difficult to find. If anybody has James Herriot books in Finnish and wants to get rid of them, let me know. The fourth and fifth book that I read was Pat of Silver Bush series by L.M. Montgomery. So I love Anne of Green Gables. It's the same writer. So my expectations were pretty high. And I will say that I was a little bit disappointed. It was not easy because there lacked so much action. But I figured out in the second book, or I realized that the beauty of these books is in the fact that for the writer herself, Montgomery, these books were a place of safety for her. It was nostalgic for her, and you can see glimpses to her own life in these books. So if you are a Montgomery fan, you definitely should read these books. And obviously her style in describing nature is so rich and abundant. It's pretty amazing to read. The next book that I read is called The French Photographer. So this book I just found in a bookstore. It was part of a deal. Buy 2 books and get the third one free. It's a historical fiction book. It's my second historical fiction book. The first one is The Book Thief, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, I did enjoy this one also, but I feel like maybe some points it over-explained the significance and the meaning of things and the feelings. I personally just like to figure those kind of things out by myself. But yeah, I think after reading this book, I started to think, hey, maybe I should look into historical fiction more. Maybe it will be my guilty pleasure. I don't know. Anyway, my 7th book is Peter Pan. I love this cover also. Before I go into detail, I have to put out a disclaimer that this book has untrue stereotypes about Native Americans. I just think it's important to be mindful of that when you read it. But other than that, this book is full of adventure. It's hilarious, obviously, because there are so many kids in it, and kids are hilarious. And it has so many legendary quotes. It just says so many powerful things about life in the most simplistic ways, and it's just genius, and it makes you think, and I just love this book so much. I was a huge fan as a kid, and I still am, of the movie, the live action one. And I remember in the live action one there's a kiss between Peter and Wendy. Sorry, that's a spoiler. And then I was kind of disappointed that there was no kiss in the book. I mean, it didn't take away from the story at all, but you know what I mean. Yeah, because it was my second time reading it now, and yeah, the first time I was just like, where's the kiss? Where's the romance? Now I don't care. But yeah. This next book I counted as 3 books, but it might as well just be 1 book. Lord of the Rings. My very first video, I also did a review of this. This book took me really long to read, except the 3rd book went by really fast. But yeah, one reason was also because my dog passed away, so I didn't feel like reading. But I did take this book in so many trips. This book went to so many countries, and I just never read it while I was on those trips. So yeah, it's been through a lot. I should probably laminate it or something, but yeah, very epic. And then my previous video, I did Little Women, one of my favorite books now. This is the very first book that I started to put these notes in. Another life hack I learned in Book Talk, which, by the way, I didn't know Book Talk existed before I started to think that I want to make YouTube videos. Not that I thought I was doing anything unique or something for the first time, but I just didn't know there was such a community or thing going on. So that's pretty amazing. And obviously, the 2 books that are included in the series, Little Men and Plumfield Boys. I am a little worried that I gave a negative image of these 2 books. I really enjoyed reading Little Men, although it took me some time to get into it, but I did enjoy it. It has a lot more action. I just liked Little Women more because I think I just like how in Little Women you can really see the character's personal growth. That's what I look for in stories mostly. So that's just my personal preference, I guess. Then I just finished reading this yesterday. It's Christmas Carol. Well, yesterday for me, not for this video, but anyway. Yes, I should probably tape it up. But, and I won't give too many spoilers because I'm gonna make a video about it. But one thing I will say is it was surprisingly difficult in a good way, but there were so many hidden meanings. I had to read some paragraphs again and again to really understand it. Yeah, that was surprising. The next book that I am planning on reading is All the Lights We Cannot See. So I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I'm still excited to read this because I've seen the Netflix series, and then I'm very curious to read from the perspective of a blind girl because she's one of the main characters. I've just heard that the language in this book is very lyrical, so very excited for that. By the way, when I was a kid, I had this thing called, or I call it, movie eyes. So basically, when I would read a book, everything would happen as a movie in front of my eyes. So I wouldn't see pages anymore, any text. I wouldn't remember even turning the pages. And then 30 minutes later, I would just wake up from my movie that's literally happening in front of my eyes. And I lost that skill. I'm really sad about it, but I wonder, has anybody else had this, or do you know what it is? Please let me know. I wish it would come back. Now, let's get into books that I'm excited to read in 2025. It's not all of them. I am gonna have a book haul in the spring in Finland, so I'm excited for that. My goal for 2025 is to read at least 24 books. That would be 2 books a month. I think it's quite doable, and I hope I can read more. I think I will, but I can't promise. The first category, I would say, is Jane Austen. So I have Persuasion. I hope I said it right. Then I have Emma, which is, surprise, same in Finnish as in English. And then I have Pride and Prejudice. I remember loving this book as a teenager, but it's been so long, so I'm really excited to read it again. Then the next category that I'm excited to read is these 2 books. This is The Three Musketeers. This is Count of Monte Cristo. This one has been very highly recommended, so I'm excited to read it. I'm just waiting for that very special oomph in my heart. I don't know, I just keep waiting for that very special moment when I can read this book. I don't know what that means exactly, but... Oh, the light went off. There we go, light's back on. Then I have Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I love how these books look. I think it's so beautiful. I do have more Charles Dickens books, but I think I will start with this. I've heard many great things about, so I have great expectations. Ooh, then I have what is it? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this belongs to the Hunger Games series, and it's actually what happens before the 3 books that were published years ago. Those books I've read a couple times too. I'm excited to read it. I'm sorry, the old book dust is really getting to my throat. I'm worried what it will do to my emotional well-being because yeah, it was quite an adventure last time. But I'm an adult. I can do it. I can do it. Then I have Watership Down by Richard Adams. So this book I also found in a used bookstore, and I thought, oh, it looks so cute, and the story sounds like something I'm interested in. And then later on I found out that, oh, it's a classic, so I'm really glad that I got it. I am a bit scared to read it because it's about these rabbits finding a new home or something, and I feel like it might be sad, but the sixth book that I have in this pile is, sorry, the name is really long. It's called Fluke, or I Know Why the Winged Whale Sings. Like this. I also found this in a used bookstore. I wasn't really looking for this book, but it really catched my eye. I think I will read this book when I'm really looking for something adventurous. I feel like the sea is always so fascinating, and again, I need that oomph in my heart. I'm saving the good ones, okay? The next book is Water to Flowers. The original book was published in French, and this was also part of a deal in a bookstore, but I'm really glad I bought it. I am so curious to read it. In the back, there's a review of it, and it says, "Here it is, the most beautiful book in the world." I won't explain it too much because I don't really know a lot about it. I've just read the back, but this one I'm very excited to read. Of course, I have to include some fantasy in my 2025, so for now I have The Ink Heart. I loved Cornelia Funke's The Thief Lord as a teenager. I can't find it anywhere. I want to read it again so bad. But yeah, if you have it and you want to get rid of it again, let me know. In Finnish, of course. The next category, if you can say it like that, is the Bronte sisters. So here I have Jane Eyre. Here I have Wuthering Heights. I want to read them and I know I will enjoy them. I'm just scared that I'm gonna be scared. Basically, I'm scared that I can't sleep because I'm very sensitive. But yeah, I heard that they're more eerie than scary. But we will see. Once again, I'm an adult, so I think I will somehow survive. And I have Freddie with me, right? The very last books today that I'm going to share with you that I want to read in 2025 is, yeah, I don't know if you can tell. It's Narnia. All the books. Basically, we've had this book in the family for years, and then when this came off, I wrote with a pencil as a kid, Narnia. I love the movies. I've read the first two books, and I'm very honest with you now. I have cried within this year because I cannot go to Narnia for real. Like, I have cried very hard. It's always been my dream to go to Narnia ever since I was a kid, and I still want to go. So hopefully when I read these books, I will somehow get to go to Narnia. Somehow. We will see. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there are any other books that I should read in 2025 or books that you really liked. And also let me know if you want to know what books I'm reading beforehand. Maybe you can read them with me. And I hope you'll follow along in 2025 what books I read, and I hope you will share your opinions of these books with me. So, what else is there left to say than see you at the next adventure?